According to Sally Jenkins, author of The History of Women's Basketball, 1892 marked the very beginning of women's basketball. This was a time where women wore floor-length dresses to every event, including their basketball games. This caused countless broken bones and black eyes as a result of tripping over these very long dresses. In an effort to move towards some sort of inclusion, Dr. Edward Morton Schaefer called for these divided skirts, which allowed women much more mobility when exercising and playing games. Also, the rules of women's basketball were very restricted because women were expected to uphold womanly decorum. Stealing the ball from the other team was forbidden, seeing as it was considered aggressive and unladylike. The court was divided into 3 equal sections, requiring each woman to stay in their assigned area and discourage them from moving freely. Dribbling the ball for more than 3 times was not allowed because it was thought to be too physically demanding. Finally, the official game was held in 1893 between the University of Cal Berkeley and Miss Head School. Only women were permitted to attend this game because of social norms and to protect the women's decency around other men. Although this game was a huge milestone for women's basketball, many of the reports focused solely on the appearance and clothing of the players. Degrading language was used in articles written by Albert May calling the Cal Berkeley women athletes 9 cute little misses, while referring to the male athletes of 9 of the handsomest, best-shaped, loveliest co-eds in the world. Sexism in women's sports was present from the beginning of time. Now that we have explored the early challenges women faced in the sport, let's shift our focus on the different levels of women's basketball and how media coverage has failed to play a role in shaping these languages. Women's basketball has shown on many different stages, specifically in the collegiate and professional levels. ESPN reported that the 2024 NCAA Women's College Basketball Tournament Championship was the most watched NCAA tournament in decades. A year later, in 2025, the tournament reached 1.2 million viewers, a 22% increase from 2023. The 2024 NCAA Men's March Madness tournament generated over $1 billion in ad revenue, while the women's tournament brought in $15 million. However, the women's championship game had a record-breaking 18.7 million viewers, while the men's game attracted 16.4 million viewers. Even when women's sports outperform their male counterparts, they continue to be undervalued and underrepresented in the media. Although the WNBA provides collegiate athletes with a career in basketball, the salary is so underwhelming that many players find themselves playing internationally overseas in order to make a living off of the sport. For example, the average WNBA salary in 2025 is $148,000, while the average NBA salary is $11.9 million. Players in the WNBA that are putting the exact same work in the weight room, on the court, and in the film room are earning a fraction of what these men are earning in the NBA. Despite their record-breaking viewership numbers, women's basketball continues to trail far behind their male counterparts in terms of advertisement dollars and attention. A study done by the University of Southern California and Purdue found that 95% of media coverage done by ESPN was focused on male sports. This missing piece can be held responsible for the restriction of growth in women's basketball. Let us now dive a little deeper and shed some light into the specific inequalities women athletes face in the sport of basketball. The most concerning inequality women athletes face is not on the court, but off the court. Despite the growth of women's basketball, the league continues to face inequalities in terms of salary, representation, and opportunities in the professional field. The WNBA does allow college athletes to pursue a professional career in basketball. However, many players wind up playing overseas in the offseason just to afford the cost of their living. Overseas in European leagues, the average salary is around $600,000. Players in Russia and in Turkey make anywhere from $250,000 to $450,000 per year. As I mentioned earlier, the average WNBA salary is around $148,000. With these numbers in mind, many players choose to take on both leagues in order to support themselves and their families. The work conditions women basketball players are forced to deal with is another example of the blatant inequalities they face every single season. Every single NBA team is allowed a chartered plane to and from their away games. On the other hand, the WNBA teams are forced to fly commercial, causing delays and limited space for their athletes to rehab in. According to an extensive investigation into the WNBA team, the New York Liberty, a $500,000 fine was put in place after the Liberty chartered a plane for their players' away trip to Napa. These inequalities not only affect the team and individual player performances, but highlight how the WNBA is undervalued in the eyes of owners and league managers. Now that the topics of history, media coverage, and inequalities have been debriefed, the final conversation of all-stars and their influence on the game of women's basketball can begin. There is no shortage in the Department of Greatness when it comes to women's basketball. From collegiate players such as Paige Bueckers to international players like Lauren Jackson, these athletes have helped to contribute to the success of the sport greatly. Removing stereotypes from women's basketball has been one of the ways that these star athletes have helped change the game. In 2002, Lisa Leslie became the first woman in the WNBA to ever complete a dunk in-game. This shattered stereotypical norms placed around the idea of women not being able to perform at the same level as their male counterparts. Sheryl Swoopes is another example of a trailblazer for women's basketball. Swoopes became the first ever women's basketball player to own a Nike signature shoe back in 1995. Also, Candace Parker is another huge name in women's basketball, seeing as she has accomplished incredible feats in her 16 WNBA seasons. Parker was the first overall pick in the 2008 draft, won MVP her rookie season, was a 3-time WNBA champion, and a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Candace is the epitome of what it looks like to be a successful professional athlete in the sport of basketball. More recently, the name Caitlin Clark has risen in popularity due to her ability to shoot from long ranges. Long-range three-point shooting has been a skill used commonly in the NBA. However, Clark has captivated the hearts of many fans by showing them women are capable of being lethal shooters from the three-point line as well. Clark was a huge driver of the record-breaking 18.7 million viewers for the 2024 NCAA Women's College Championship game. Her ability to shoot, pass, and her infectious energy contributed greatly to the engagement with fans across the globe. Countless NIL deals have been made by Caitlin's management team, generating a significant source of income for her at the time. For instance, her 8-year contract with Nike provides her with a cool $3 million per year. Another star-studded athlete who has changed the women's game is Sabrina Ionescu, a guard from the University of Oregon. Ionescu participated in the first ever shoot-off against Stephen Curry, the NBA's greatest three-point shooter, last year. The shootout took place during the NBA All-Star Weekend, attracting 4.6 million viewers, which is the highest viewership an All-Star Weekend has ever seen. Earlier on in her career, Ionescu became the first ever NCAA Division I athlete, men or women, to record 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000 rebounds. Her outstanding performance led to sold-out Oregon arenas, something the university was extremely unfamiliar with.